YouTube, podcast world, all of that, because we are still available on podcast form too. Pays and Plays podcast. Listen, man, feeling good. You know, we went into Good Friday, the first Good Friday of September, and the first one on YouTube. 5-1 with best bets for college football. So I already gave you a dose of what you're going to be getting when it comes to college football and NFL. But this is, of course, we're going to give you the NFL breakdown for the whole entire for this week one. It'll be spread mostly, but if I say I like a team to cover, but a team to win, or if I like the outright underdog to win outright, common sense, we're going to say it. Week one is a bunch of upsets. We saw it in the college ranks. Coach Prime, you proved them all. I did say about at least 7-8 wins is like the highest ceiling I see with Colorado. So I'm not going to go crazy and think they're going to win everything. But Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter was the real big deal, like I kind of advertised. But enough of college football, feeling myself off those wins. But Toledo, game winning, losing field goals. They was up. Illinois got a lucky 4th and 10 catch that I can't really be mad about. But anyway, we got Thursday night football to start week one. Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are -6.5 home favorites. Lions to cover, Chiefs to win. There's a lot of uncertainty with the Chris Jones situation, where he's saying he might play. You know, then you hear crypto tweets saying that he won't play and all that. Which Chris Jones, to me, outside of Aaron Donald, 1A, 1B when it comes to D tackles. The Lions' offensive line is, to me, the best unit on this team. It's not sexy because it's not a quarterback. It's not receivers. You know, it's not running backs. But when you have an offensive line, and I've always said it, trenches travel. If you can run the ball and play defense, which I think that's what the Lions are. I think persona is what they're trying to do. You know, you got Gibbs, you got Montgomery, so you got a new backfield. I do think they try to run first. I'm not going to be bold. I'm going to be bold and say this, though. The receiver room for the Lions is probably one of the worst receiver rooms in NFL. Even if you exclude Jameson Williams. I mean, other than St. Brown, I mean, you know. But with the Chiefs, they lollygag a lot. When it comes to these big-time spreads, if they're not like -3 or -1 favorites, they usually let teams hang around. And, you know, it being week one, you know, Super Bowl banner hanging up, I see the Chiefs waking up around second half. So this is what my approach might be. If the Lions are up, I'm going to say 7 points. I'm not going to say 3. I'm going to say 7 to 10 points. I might be live betting the Chiefs because there's going to be some value at that point. But first initial thought, Chiefs to win, but Lions cover the 6.5. Probably a game-winning field goal that probably ends that up. Next game, the game that I am interested in looking at, we got the Buccaneers going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Vikings are -6.5. Another situation where I got the Vikings to win, but the Bucks to cover. And it's really up to the Buccaneers defense. You know, I've mentioned, if you guys listen to the audio version of my podcast when I had the breakdowns of divisions with the Bucks, I think the defense for at least the first few games will be solid. And that's what I'm kind of banking on in this situation. I wasn't a fan of Baker Mayfield, honestly, getting the QB1. I thought Kyle Trask deserved it. I think he fits that scheme better. But, you know how that goes. But the Vikings, though, there's too many close games. And I'm so used to seeing them close games, I think they'll win by a game-winning field goal. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game because this is the type of game the Vikings will lose. The defense might be the worst defense I probably will see all year. Just going to say that. That should tell you what I think about the Vikings. Offensively, we know they're going to show up. Even without the questions in the run game, they're going to show up because you do got two good – you got Jefferson, and Addison would probably be the same way. So if you're going to double-team Jefferson, you're going to have Addison chances. If you're going to double-team Addison, you're going to have Jefferson chances. So the Bucks corners is questionable, but overall, I think they got one of the most underrated solid front sevens on the defensive line. So I'm going to have to go with the Bucks to cover 6.5, but the Vikings win. It was at 7, and this is why I feel salty about it, because I liked it better at 7. Next game, we got the San Fran 49ers traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Steelers are 2.5 underdogs. Steelers to win the cover in the upset. Now, will I be betting this? No. This is why I say you got to do research. For what I've been seeing, 80% of the tickets is on Pittsburgh. And I understand it because they always have good preseasons. You can never really sleep on Tomlin as a coach. But, I don't know about the Niners. And this is why it's a stay away game, because situation with Bosa, I don't know if supposedly it's supposed to be resolved today. This is Labor Day, by the way. Happy Labor Day, guys. Hope you guys enjoying the holidays. I don't know if that contract dispute, what's going to happen with that. George Kittle injury. I mean, this is what reminds me of last season with them. I picked the Niners last year. Oh, right before the game, Kittle doesn't play, and they shit the whole bed. I can see it being a similar scenario, even with the talent, because the Niners always start off slow. But, with my life on line, I say Pittsburgh on the money line in the upset. Worst case scenario, they covered the 2.5 by game-winning field goal. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Colts are +5, +4 in some books. I like the Colts to cover, Jags to win. One thing that I see, Colts still have a solid D-line. You got Shaq Leonard back too. I think the defense is going to be kind of there. Anthony Richardson is going to make some plays. You have to imagine how that's going to be. I respect the Jags. I know Peterson is going to show up and as a coach, and Lawrence is going to show up on offensive end. The offensive line is a little skeptical though. That's really what you're going to want to be targeting if you're picking the Colts, hoping they find a way. But I do think second half though, Richardson might get a little, because the head coach was the guy that kind of groomed Hurts, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I can see a lot of the same RPOs and, design runs. I mean, we can see that. And we know Richardson is a dog when it comes to his speed. Maybe checking out his props as far as rushing props might be a play. But I still think the Jags find a way to win this game. Jags to win, Colts to cover. Next game, we have the Houston Texans traveling to Bmore to take on the Ravens. Ravens are -10 favorites. Listen, I already bet this, and I'm just going to say it. I picked Houston +10. I just think 10 is a lot of points for week 1. This team has gotten, they gotten better, I want to say. DeMeco Ryans comes in. So, we know what he was doing at San Fran as a defensive coordinator. He was a guy that played for Houston also and played pretty good for Houston. He played better than Mario Williams. And hell, him and Mario Williams was in the same draft, and he got Defensive Rookie of the Year, DeMeco Ryans. I think he is a dog. He bring that mentality to Houston. Will Anderson is there. The secondary is very underrated. You're going to hear about a lot of these players in the secondary. They got Jerry Hughes, and they got another young pass rusher. I've kind of have emphasis with that. But it's really the offense, right? Stroud is a better quarterback than Davis Mills. The receivers, they'll just have to get – he's a very accurate passer. That's what I like about Stroud for what I've seen. But with Baltimore, it's this – we're going to pass the ball a lot more. And that's kind of a red flag to me because if you're Baltimore, you want Lamar to kind of do what he does best. He's going to throw the ball, but, he has to, he has to move with his legs. And if you're telling me from what it seems like, you might kind of take away that. And then we know with the defense outside, they got a good run game, but against the run, the defense. But, who's the pass rusher? You got Ojabo, I think he was a rookie, but he didn't play last year. So I look at him as a rookie still. So you're relying on him. You got Roquan Smith, you got Patrick Queen, one of the best dual linebackers, I believe. But Marlon Humphrey's outside corner. He's an inside slot guy. This guy gets mossed in practice all the time, so you can imagine. I mean, look at the game against Miami. He was giving up tons of big plays, and he was an outside corner. They don't have any outside corners. You know, Marcus Williams is a solid safety, but now he has injury concerns. So, with that being said, though, I still think the Texans will give the Ravens a run for their money, which is why I put my money on the Texans plus 10. But the Ravens still win this game, though. Next game, we have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the DMV to take on the Commanders. Commanders are -7, too many points. Commanders to win, Cardinals to cover. I know the Cardinals are probably going to be the worst team in the league. I mean, I don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. It's either going to be Josh Dobbs or it's going to be Clayton Tune, who's a rookie out of Houston. I don't even know. I mean, they're trading Isaiah Simmons, which I did think the Giants got him, which is a good pickup for little to nothing. I don't know what this team approach is, but you're giving me Sam Howell, first NFL week 1 start. I don't really know how that's going to pan out. So with that, it's a lot of uncertainty. I think the Commanders are very underrated, but I don't really know how this is going to turn out. So with that all being said, give me the Cardinals to cover, maybe by a 6-point loss or something like that. But Washington still wins this game. I don't know. I wouldn't bet this game. Stay away. Next game, we have the Tennessee Titans traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Saints are -3 favorites. I got the Saints to win the cover. I don't think it's a sexy game. Titans, I feel like the offensive side is kind of like a subpar rebuild. And when I mean subpar, is like, you know, they got Burks from last year. You do get DeAndre Hopkins, which is a plus, but Derrick Henry workload, I think this season might get a hold of him. But you do got Spears that came in from Tulane, which should help him out a little bit. But I just really don't know, because when I look at the Saints, though, they have the weapons and I don't like Dennis Allen. And I think that's why I'm so iffy on the Saints as a whole entire team. But for this week 1, it being at home too, I'm going to go with the Saints. But the over-under total, as far as points, is 41. I like the over 41. I think that's a good approach. If you don't like a side, I think the New Orleans lead scores about 27, 28 points. And I can see the Titans scoring at least about 14, 21. Right? It could be a 28-24 game and you'll still pick Saints and cover. So that's a mindset that I look at with that game. So I would aim the total at over 41, but I wouldn't pick either side in this game because a lot of uncertainty, of course. Next game, we got the battle for Ohio. We got the Bengals traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Browns are 2.5, 1 in some books. I don't care about none of that shit. Give me the Browns to win the cover and the upset. They've always had Joe Burrow's number for some reason. You know, him coming with this sprain, this injury. And you know what? I was watching something on YouTube, and it was a guy who used to be an NFL doctor. And he would talk about, he would get game film of players when they got hurt. And he could tell right at the play how was the grade of the injury. And from what he was saying with the logic, he's saying with Joe Burrow's injury was that he can play on it, but he can easily re-aggravate that. And the offensive line for the Bengals has always been like the sketchiest fucking unit ever. For some reason, as much as Burrow's been balling, the offensive line has been dog shit. So I only imagine when you got Garrett coming at you. Now you got Zadarius Smith. Defensive coordinator is Schwartz. I mean, offensively, we know Nick Chubbs is going to rock the ball. It's really on Deshaun Watson. That's really how I'm looking at the Browns. I'm really dependent on Deshaun Watson. At least he doesn't need to have a hell of a game. But, I mean, if he throws 2 TDs and Chubbs gets 2 TDs on the ground, I think that's a solid way to win because the defense is going to get that momentum. With that all being said, give me the Browns in an upset against the Bengals. We just know the Bengals start off really slow every year. I think they'll still make some damage, but when it comes to Cleveland, though, Cleveland has been having their number, so I got to respect that. Next game, we have the Carolina Panthers traveling to Atlanta, taking on the Falcons. Falcons are -3.5 favorites. Another team I'm going for the upset. This is a division rival game. Panthers. Give me the Panthers to win outright. The thing that I have with the Falcons, we know they're going to run the ball. We know this. They're going to run the ball probably 50 times between Robinson, Patterson. They got another guy that was from BYU that I took him on betting attempts over his rushing a lot. So with this team, you know they're going to run the ball a lot. But I really have questions for Ridder. I saw a lot of Taylor Heinicke during the preseason. I didn't see a lot of Ridder. I think they're trying to hide him. I was very confident with Ridder until I saw last year when they brought him in certain games where I was kind of questionable. Like, yeah, I don't know about this guy. Carolina, on the other hand, Bryce Young is there. And I think he will have a solid game. I know that the mindset of rookie struggle, but you got Frank Wright, who is a quarterback guy. You know, offensive line, I think they got better in the preseason against that Lions game. That's when I felt a lot more confident with them because the first two games, Bryce Young was getting hit left in and left out. But the benefits with this game is why I'm going with the Panthers. Not only that the defense is solid from the D-line up to the secondary. With the Falcons, I mentioned this before. Who is their pass rusher? I mean, you drafted Bijan Robinson. You had Nolan Smith from Georgia, 4-5 linebacker pass rusher right there, ready to take. A big need. But you went for the best available player, which I can't hate it. But who you got? Calais Campbell? How old is he? Almost 40? You think he's going to run to get Bryce Young? Bryce Young is a little quick. He can move a little bit. So you're telling me you're relying on an almost 40-year-old guy who's about to retire probably after this year to be a pass rusher. You know, AJ Terrell, I respect him as a corner. You got Okuda, and you know he's kind of hurt. I think he was hurt in and out during the preseason training camp. Linebacker corps is kind of eh. I think Panthers win this game outright. They just have the better overall team to me. So give me the Panthers in a slight upset. If you like the 3.5, because you make, hey, what if they lose by game winning field goal? I would take both. Split half on the money line, split half on the spread. That's how I do with college. And that regimen has worked. And shout out to Allen. That is the guy that actually told me how you should start approaching some of these spreads and money line outright wins. And it works. So especially with underdogs, because you may feel bummed out that you lost on a plus 200 money line underdog, but you did get some money back at least from winning the spread. Food for thought. Next game, we had the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to New England, take on the Patriots. Patriots are +4 underdogs. I've seen the line go from +4 up to +5, drops down to +3.5. I don't really know where the market is going. But if you give me anything 4 and up, I kind of almost have to go Patriots to cover. Eagles win. I do believe it's a Super Bowl hangover. Then you got Brady coming there too. I see a lot of momentum for the Patriots to at least make some noise. I just don't know with the Eagles, though. They do have the best depth and roster throughout the whole league, but I believe Super Bowl hangover. So I think they'll win the game by a game-winning field goal, which is why I'm saying if you like the Eagles, I will wait. If it goes to -3, just 3, then I think Eagles -3 will be the play. But until then, I'm sitting this one out. Because that hook, I don't want to get fucked by the hook. I want to be with the hook, not fucked by the hook, okay? That is how I look at it at this point. I just seen games, I'm not going to go a little off script, where last year I had Bills -3.5 against the Ravens. They choked all the way to the fourth quarter. And it was even the last play where they were trying to let them score, and then they fucking tackled them, and then they scored a game-winning field goal. So the Bills won by 3, but I lost because of 3.5. You get what I'm saying? I hate it, but that's part of the game. Next game, we have the Green Bay Packers traveling to Chicago, take on the Bears. Bears are -1 favorites. Listen, I'm biased, but I won't bet this game. I like the Packers to win outright. I'm just not used to seeing the Bears as a favorite. I know there's a lot of uncertainty with Jordan Love because we haven't seen him play. People say who's the receivers. Watson would show up. Dobbs and Watson would show up. You got two good running backs. You know, the defense just has to step up a lot more, especially against the run. That is what the area of concern I will say I have as a Packers fan. Can we stop the run this year? The first two games would be Bears and Falcons. I think we'll kind of see how that goes. But it's going to be an exciting game. I would nudge my nose at the over if you think it goes over the points, because I think it'll be point scored both ends. Now, this was like a week 4 game. I would have said the Packers probably outright, but I'm staying away from this game. I don't bet my own team unless it comes down the road. If I see a Packers plus 10, then I might have to start looking like, But this one though, give me the Packers in a slight upset. But we'll see. Division games, you sometimes gotta throw some of these numbers out the roof because none of that shit matters because both of them know everybody. You know what I do, I know what you do. And when it's that cycle, those games are usually the hella toss-up because you never really know. Next game, we have the Rams taking on the Seahawks in Seattle. Seahawks minus 5.5. I'm going with the Seahawks to win the cover. There's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know if Cooper Kupp is going to play. We've heard he has setbacks with his injury. I don't really know. Even though Jack Smith-Njigba is out for the Seahawks for a couple weeks, I still like Seattle at least win the week 1 game outright. I think at least win by a touchdown more. I know McVay, I think this might be his last year. Meaning if they don't even make the playoffs, him and Stafford, Aaron Donald, all 3 of them will probably be gone and enjoy retirement. I respect Stafford, but I think at this point in his career, he's kind of done. You know, you gotta think of all those hits we seen from the Lions when he was getting hit with dislocated shoulders, his throwing shoulder. We didn't see leg injuries, ankle injuries, and then we just seen this last season where all these injuries come back, and he's older, and he was still trying to play some of these games. We know Stafford's tough as fuck, but I think this might be the last year for him. But without that being said, though, Seahawks win to cover that divisional rival game. Next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders traveling a mile high to take on the Broncos country. Broncos country. It's -4 now. And you know what? I'm tempted to go with the Raiders. As crazy as I thought, and I said I think Raiders can be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and it might, because I think Jimmy G's 1 injury away. That's why I believe they could be the worst team. If Jimmy G gets injured, them in Arizona would be tied going head and head for tanking. Listen, you still have Devontae Adams there. You got Brandon Jacobs coming back. You know, the Broncos are a little vulnerable against the run. And as much as I respect Sean Payton, I almost have to ask myself, is this Russell Wilson? Does he just not have it anymore? That's like my reasons behind it. I think it will be a dogfight because when it comes to the Raiders and Broncos games, there are always dogfights. But it's going to be an ugly game. But for some reason, I think the Raiders will win this game outright. Call me crazy. I don't give a fuck. I make money off wild takes. So when people say that's wild, nothing's really that wild to me, honestly. Next game, we have the Miami Dolphins traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers are -3 favorites. This is when I say fuck the points. I'm going with Miami. I mentioned it before. Miami coaching staff now with Nick Fangio. And you got McDaniels. McDaniels is a nerd, but hey, you see on the field, man, that motherfucker is smart. He knows his shit. You have to salute that. With the Chargers, I just don't know about Staley. I don't know about this guy. You know, I don't understand this guy at all. You bring in, and I mentioned this before, you bring in Kellen Moore. And the one thing I look at Kellen Moore is you can go back to, and I mentioned this on the audio of the podcast, you can go back to when he was the coordinator at Dallas and they played at Denver when Vic Fangio was the head coach. All that shit he was trying to do with Dak Prescott and all of them, and Denver wasn't even a good team back then. They still won that game. I think he's going to piggyback what they did in that game and correlate with this, I know they got Justin Herbert. Herbert to me is a dog. I love Justin Herbert. If he was on my team, I'll be A-OK. But a lot of these throwing underneath 4 or 5 yards, I see a couple, down shots to field, but I mean, I just don't know. I just think the Dolphins will be more explosive. Yes, you have to be concerned with Tua because he can be one hit away. But I do think they go back to running the ball. And I always mention about the Chargers. They can't really stop the run. So it looked like Mozart's going to be the #1 running back. I will look him up as his running back props. Or I think they got, is a Spiller. Like it's like a rookie they got. One of those guys, I would at least sprinkle the over in rushing yards of one of them. Because, if you correlate that with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I have concerns, bro. You're telling me you're going to stop. If you're going to stop Tyreek Hill, Waddle's going to be open. You stop Waddle, Hill's going to find a way. With that all that being said, though, I did like the over. It went up to 0.5 to a point. So it was at 50. Now it's 51. I do like the over in that game because both teams will score. But like I said, though, give me the Dolphins to win and cover this game. Another upset. Why not? It's week 1. Sunday Night Football, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys traveling to is it the Meadowlands? It's the Meadowlands. I don't know the fucking stadium name, but the Giants. Giants are plus 3.5. I like the Cowboys to win and cover, but if it goes to 3, I really like it as the best bet for the Cowboys. I respect the Giants, but this might be a little bit of regress year, and you have to look at Dallas. Michael Parsons is going to be having a mission. He's going to have a mission, and when you are determined like he is, I think he is the best pass rushing linebacker in the league. And he's going to continue showing it. And Dak Prescott, they always play good against the Giants, though. So they have the weapons. They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Brandon Cooks. I know Dak throws interceptions, but I think this team does kind of good, man. The Giants, we don't know who their receivers are. We know they're going to be a run-first team. So if you can eliminate the run first, I think it'd be easy to expose the Giants. Give me the Cowboys to win and cover. Lastly, Monday Night Football, we have the Buffalo Bills travel to the Meadowlands. So you telling me, hold on. So you telling me Giants and Jets both have home games? That's some shit. But Jets are plus 2.5 against the Bills. I got the Jets to win this game. Is it maybe a little bit because of the height? Maybe. But this is my mindset too. I look at how the Bills struggled against the Jets last season. I know it was last season, but they struggled against them with no quarterback at all. The same defensive unit gave Josh Allen issues. With the Bills, there's no Von Miller playing. So you almost think about the offensive line for the Jets. Will that be able to be held up a little bit? I think A-Rod can make his reads. But they got Dalvin Cook. And the thing with me was the Bills, can you really stop the run? And that's going to be a question for me. Breece Hall would be back too. Listen, this Jets, if the Jets don't do nothing this year, I don't think they'll win a Super Bowl. They do have a tough schedule, but Monday Night Football game, we know it's all going to be Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen. I think Aaron Rodgers wants that revenge from last season when they lost when he was a Packer. So give me the Jets to win outright. You guys continue to keep liking the content, subscribe, pass the word around. This is only up from here. With all that being said, you guys be easy out here.